Hi guys, it's Tara. I'm back with another video. Like, comment, subscribe, share. But I wanted to come on here and have a conversation today about something that I feel is very important, especially for those of you all who are kind of already going through your spiritual awakening and you're trying to find a deeper understanding of thyself. But I realized just communicating with a few other people, something that I'm noticing that's going on a very vast level, and I feel like because it's going on, it's kind of deterring people from the actual truth of them finding themselves. But what I want to speak to is the fact that a lot of us that are going through these spiritual awakenings and seeking knowledge, a lot of us have a tendency to reach out to different spirit guides, or not even so much different spirit guides, because your spirit guides typically can be your ancestors or your relatives, which that's not where the issue is coming from. It's a lot of people that are seeking assistance from like the divine, or you're seeking assistance from different ascended masters. And a lot of the times you have to understand that each ascended master has a specific way that they will speak to you as well as give you messages. So I remember when I first started off this particular journey, well, not when I first started off this particular journey, when I really made the decision that I wanted to divulge deeper into my spirituality. I am an avid reader. I will go to the library and go get books. I'll go buy books. I have a whole account on what is that, Kindle? Yeah, but I am really big into knowledge. So of course with knowledge comes books. Well, I remember when I first started, well, like I said, not first started, but midway into my journey, I decided to buy a couple of books. Like I said, I don't know if it was me doing it or it was my higher self talking to me, because a lot of the times, one thing we don't realize is our higher selves will kind of lead us to the information that's necessary for us to basically grow. So one book that I had found myself to purchase was this book. This is an amazing book by Kyle Gray. I actually have a few of his books. Like, I've seen him on YouTube. He's just an amazing soul. But anyways, he wrote this particular book, and if you already have the book, then you already know there's like a lot of incantations and prayers to all 33 of the ascended masters. All of them are in here, as well as there's a few activations for you to reconnect with your higher self or awaken. See the last one on page 236. I don't know if you guys can see that. It says awaken the master within. Okay, so I feel like honestly that's where you should first start. That's what I personally think. I know it's the last place in the book, but I feel like that's where everybody should first start. Because like I said, I'm finding a lot of people are getting the information that's being passed on from a lot of these ascended masters are being misconstrued. The thing is, when you tap in and you start speaking to these beings of a higher realm, like I said, each one of them will communicate with you in their own specific way. Like for instance, if you've ever reached out to Soap Dad, like I said, unless you're somewhat of her lineage, she specifically might not even speak with you. Like, she'll talk to you briefly, or she'll send someone else down to talk to you from Sirius briefly, but to speak to her directly, sometimes she doesn't even come through. Then you have a person like, for instance, Thoth. Thoth has a tendency, like at the beginning of your communications with him, he'll show you kind of like basically like a collage of all his past lives. And it kind of gives you a deeper understanding as to who he is as a person, why he's down here, and why he knows all the information that he knows. Well, what I'm realizing, there's a lot of people, and not just with him, because like I said, you can speak to different ascended masters and they will talk to you in different ways. But specifically, I'm realizing that a lot of people are seeing this information, and instead of just absorbing the information without putting themselves within the information, are seeing this information and thinking, oh, that's me. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, no, that's not necessarily you. That's just him giving you an idea of who he is. And I think sometimes, depending on the person that you speak with, he'll go deeper into divulging information. And like I said, I don't necessarily think it's depending on the person. I think it's to kind of help jog some of you all's memory as to who you are. You have to understand that when you start seeking these answers, a lot of these spirit guides, there's like this unwritten rule that they have, that they cannot just come out and tell you specifically who you are. Like, that's what people got to understand. Most spiritual teachers or ascended masters will not directly come out and say, this is who you are. They will not do that. Like I said, I have an understanding that there is unwritten rules that they just can't divulge this information. You yourself have to remember who it is that you are. Now, will you speak to certain people and they'll give you a name? Yeah, they may give you a name as to who you are. And that's up to you to do the research to figure out, okay, who's this person? You know what I'm saying? And I'm not saying do research and go online, because, baby, some of y'all name, y'all won't find it online. Heck, I had to do information as far as who I was, and a lot of the information that I found online was either not correct or it was misconstrued because it's somebody else writing about who I actually am instead of, you know what I'm saying? So a lot of the research that you have to do, you have to go deeper into yourself, which means that you may have to spend longer time meditating. You may have to pick up some essential oils. You may have to, just do certain things in order to kind of jog the memory that you already have within you. So like I said, there is this unwritten rule that they cannot come out and specifically tell you this is who you are. You have to remember who you are. Now, if anybody have seen my Thyself videos, you'll understand that I specifically had a conversation with Thoth, and he kind of told me some information that I'm not going to say he wasn't supposed to tell me, but based upon the rules, like I said, they're not supposed to tell us who we are specifically. Like, we have to come to that realization ourselves. Like I said, he kind of danced around the subject, and because he danced around the subject, it was enough. It was a piece of information that was enough for me to say, you know what, okay, let me research further into this piece of information. And because at the time I had already, prior to speaking with him, had a deep meditation to where I kind of had a vision of who I was, it's just because of that vision and who that person was, I didn't want to believe it. Like, my lower nature and my ego was just like, this can't be true. But when he pretty much, divulged that small piece of information, which I had to go back and kind of speak with the divine and say, like, no, he didn't, specifically tell me who he was. He just told me a piece of information, and I myself did the research and figured it out. You know what I'm saying? So, like I said, make sure that when you're doing these communications with these beings that are ascended masters, that you don't get the information misconstrued. What we're supposed to do is just sit back, absorb the information, don't apply anything to you, and then once you've received all the information that you've received, you kind of need to sit on it and marinate on it and kind of do your own meditations to figure out, okay, which part actually applies to who I am and which part applies to who this, the information of what this teacher is trying to show me. You know what I'm saying? Because like I said, speaking to certain deities and certain masters, they'll all communicate in different ways. That's just, if you talk to Buddha, sometimes when you talk to him, it can be very mysterious. It's like, this is a riddle. Like, what are you saying? You know what I'm saying? Like, you speak to certain people and they're more direct than others. But like I said, I just realized that a lot of people are delaying their own journey because a lot of the stuff that they're seeing, they're immediately applying it to themselves, or maybe that's their ego. I don't know. That's why it's so important to kind of get rid of your ego or get your ego in check before you start doing this, because a lot of the times you'll go into these meditations and, like I said, you'll apply things that don't necessarily apply to you, and now you think you're somebody that you're not. You know what I'm saying? And that's not to say you're not a person of importance. It's just that may not be specifically who you are. You know what I'm saying? It may be you may have close ties with that person, or you may have a close history with that person, but that's not specifically who you are. Like I said, they'll never come out and just say, this is who you are, unless you've already had information that's prior. Now, you can sit up there and you can ask them, who am I? And a lot of the times they'll send you or show you different visions of who you are. And that's up to you to dig further within yourself in order to figure out, this is who I am. You know what I'm saying? So I just say that to say, like, keep going, keep in this whole conversation is not to deter anybody from digging deeper into yourself. No. It's just, there's a specific way. I'm not even going to say there's a specific way, but there are certain things that people should not do so that they don't get confused. And like I said, confusion just leads to distortion. And the longer you're distorted about yourself, you're never going to find who you truly are, because you're holding on to something that you may not necessarily be. You know what I'm saying? So I just say that to say, keep going with your studies. If you can, go pick up a copy of this book, because this book is life-changing. Like, shouts out to Kyle Gray. Like, he the man. I'm just saying, like, boy, you doing what you're supposed to be doing, okay? Like I said, he also has a book that I avidly use, like, on an everyday basis. He has, like, this angel number book. Baby, that's stuck on my phone. Like, whenever I see something specifically come up, I will literally pull that book up and just go into figuring out what is it that the guides on the other side are trying to, tell me. But anyways, if you can, go pick up this book. Like I said, I would personally say start with figuring out who you are within, because like I said, you'll start kind of getting a lot of visions, and you'll kind of get an understanding of, okay, I lived here at this particular time. You know what I'm saying? I lived here at this particular time. So when you go to speaking to a lot of these teachers, you'll have a better understanding of what questions to ask them. That is another thing. People have to be very specific as to what you ask these teachers, because they will give you answers. And like I said, they may not give you answers straight out, but it's like deciphered messages, almost, so to speak, that you have to figure out, what does this mean? Okay? And like I said, if you are not asking the right questions, you are not going to get the right answers. And then you're going to be real bit confused. And nobody wants to be confused. So, again, I would say start off at the back of the book. Figure out who you are within after you do your, like, protection. Because there's, like, a whole section set up for, just divine light and sacred protection. After you do that, I would say go and figure out who you are specifically. Once you get your visions, then I would say go ask these different teachers. Because, baby, like I said, you don't want to ask them questions that are not going to lead you to the right place. That is the whole thing. That, like I said, that is the whole thing about divulging deeper into spirituality. You have to know what to ask. Because whatever you ask, you're going to receive the answers. I promise you will. Baby, it's been times where I've asked something and 5 minutes later, the universe will literally send me the answer to my question. But it's the way that I ask it. It has to be very specific, okay? Like, you can't just be asking anything all willy-nilly, because, child, you're going to get some willy-nilly answers, and you're going to be real bit confused. And that's how folks go off their rocker. Like I said, figure out who you are. Once you get an idea of who you are, or some sort of notation or some sort of vision, then ask questions based upon your visions. And like I said, I know some of this is just like, what? Like, this is a lot of work. Honey, it's worth it. Because once you figure out who you actually are, you walk different, you talk different, you act different, you maneuver through crowds different, okay? But like I said, please make sure that you guys are not applying all the information that these Ascended Masters will show you, especially if you don't have an idea of who you are. It's like I said, you'll see some of these things and you'll think, oh, that's me. And it's not necessarily you. So, I hope you all have an amazing day. I hope you guys take heed to what I said, because like I said, it's a lot of people that I know that are specifically confused. And it's not anything that's their fault. It's just, like I said, I don't think anybody has like a guideline on how to do this. Like, everybody's out just doing things their own way, which is fine. But like I said, it can kind of lead to a lot of confusion where it's unnecessary. You know what I'm saying? But anyways, I hope you guys have an amazing day. I'm about to finish eating my salad and be out here in the wilderness. But yeah, I hope you guys have an amazing day. Bye.